Looks like I'm finally writing a book. You're kidding me, right? I wish I could write that good. I'm not an author. I'm just a trader, right? Find me a good author and we'll do it. Okay, we're live on YouTube. Let me just close that. Find me a good author and we'll write the book. Let's go. Everybody in? Welcome to the YouTube viewers. How many people we have on there? I can't see the YouTube live, so I'm not sure how many there. Okay, let's start. So, good afternoon, traders. Welcome to the free weekly outlook. Hope we're getting this spread much. We're getting an average of over 6,000 people watching on YouTube, but we don't get 6,000 people in the room live. Wish we could get 500 because that would be good. I think we've got a maximum of about 400 plus. So if you guys could help share the links, that would help some people, right? If you like what you see, then help share it. Let's go. Let's actually open with this chart because I want all of you to see this. This might be a very nice trade for you guys. By the way, we've been trading this down and we trade it up and we trade it down and we can trade it back up here. And I think we'll be getting this break. So you watch for this break. You can trade it. There's a small trade up here. I'm not sure how many of you may want to take this, but it looks like we're going to get a small trade up back, break the top again, and then we'll probably see that trade down. So you can do it both ways. Right? That's a nice trade to start the week with. Let's go. Dollar index. Still in the consolidation. Let me show you the daily. Remember, we're showing you the daily dollar index is in a consolidation. We were looking for a correction here. If they're going to go back up, they actually dropped a little low. So if you are looking in lower time frames, you had sell setups, right? There are many sell setups in lower time frame. If you're looking for, there was one there, there was one here. This would have given you break even. That was not a sell setup. You probably get one more small trade there. So we broke the low. And when we broke the low, I'm always looking for reversals, especially if there's a completion on the bigger time frame pattern. So I think that the dollar index at this point looks like the bigger time frame pattern is over. And we will either do two things: reverse totally in the daily or make a daily correction, which means you're going to get a much bigger correction. At this point, you want to wait for a flag here, because if they make a flag here, this would give you your trade, which means you'll be looking for a move. You wouldn't get that tomorrow. You'll get it by Wednesday or Thursday. You'll need 1 or 2 days correction in here and then go. If this is going to go back down, you're probably going to get a trade. You would have to look for a small flag like that on the downside. I'd be careful in the downside now because we broke the low. And most of you know, if you're following me for a while, when they break the low in a pattern, we're always looking for some kind of a reversal. So 2 things I'm looking for right now. Either we get a deeper correction to the top here and then down, or this is a total reversal. So I'll be looking for the buy setups on this one again. Euro also broke the top, but I think Euro might be still in a consolidation zone, which means breaking the top here doesn't mean anything much, excuse me. I'm expecting this to make a correction here and look for drops, pretty similar to what they did here. Look for a correction, maybe even a smaller correction, and look for drops back to breaking this low. I think by then we will be able to tell you next week whether this is actually, or you may even see it, whether that is a breakthrough, which means a reversal of the entire pattern, or just a bigger correction for more up. And the correction has to be bigger than it is right now. Breaking the top does not exclude the correction as it is. It just means you're making a more complex, bigger B wave, well, not a B wave, but an X correction in here, right? So watch the possibility for this to make that, and then you look for yourselves. Pong, pretty much the same thing. Pong is the only one that we didn't break the top. So Pong is still in the consolidation. And this is why I think the Euro is still in the consolidation, because not all of them broke the top. The Euro did, the Pong didn't, which means there is a good chance Pong could still consolidate within here, a bigger consolidation here, then go out. This would take about 3-4 days. You would have to have a bigger consolidation there, something like this, for example, and that would give you the trade out of it. Or you get a smaller consolidation in here in the 1 hour, and then you go down. So I'll go down to the 1 hour for this one, because if you're going down, you would look for that smaller consolidation. And it could be that you're already getting a smaller consolidation here. You're looking for a much smaller consolidation here and the downside. Downside, break the low, take profit. Don't keep it. It's not going to go forever. They will start going back up, right? If they go back up here, I would, if this pushes up higher here, I'd wait for them to come back here, then look for buy setups. Give me a bigger three-way flat in the middle here before I go. So in any case, you could get a trade Monday morning going down, or you have to wait until Wednesday to get a trade going up, Wednesday, Thursday, before you get a trade going up, which means wait for bigger picture, right? Bigger picture is downside. I'm not sure how many of you understand pattern the way we look at pattern, but I over the weekend, I did some studies in the yearly charts, monthly yearly charts on Pong. And there is a pattern that I've noticed. If you remember, sometime back on TradingView, I posted, you think about a year back, I posted a yearly chart on Pong and said we're looking for it to break the low. You know, when it broke the low, we're looking for an up move. And I thought that up move would be an impulse. Well, this weekend, I did some work on it, that up move is going to be a big correction because we may be in a very big triangular pattern on the yearly charts. I would show you that chart, but first I have to show it to my group, which I haven't done. So I'll show it to my group this week. And sometime this week, I think right after I finish this, maybe later today or early tomorrow, I'll post a link. Keep following me on my Facebook page. I'll post a link there. It will be on Facebook, it will be on Twitter, and it will be for a special webinar talking a little about trade patterns, specifically talking about trade patterns. And there will be a long Q&A afterwards, so you get to ask some questions. I'll give you some ideas. Don't expect me to do a course, a 6 weeks course there, but it's going to give you briefly some ideas on what to do. So when I put that link out, I hope you guys can share the link, because there will be thousands of traders who would be interested to come there, because it's a once a while thing. I'm not even sure if I'm going to keep it posted on YouTube. It's going to be once in a while I do this, and it might not be posted on YouTube for many reasons. I have too many people copying what I do. I don't mind them copying what I do, but some of them are using the copy that they take from what I do, promoting it as if they know what they're doing very much about the patterns that I do, and selling people signals and all kind of crazy stuff with that. Now, I don't mind people doing what they want to do. They have a right to do it. But many people who have took those courses ended up in my course afterwards to learn this stuff, and people had to pay twice to do that. Now, good for you if you have the money to pay twice. First, you pay $500 for crap, and then you come and you learn how to trade, right? When you realize that you're there and you're not getting what you're supposed to get, you come and we teach you to trade. I've had many students who eventually thought they were smart, they were saving, and they end up paying more, right? But what about the people who don't have the money? The people really who don't have the money. That's the sad part of it, that they save $500, and instead of not taking a course, as I would tell them not to do, they go take it, and then they realize, hey, this thing doesn't work. Well, it's not that it's not work. It's not that that thing doesn't work. It's just that you're getting it the wrong way, right? You're not getting the quality you should get. But, you know, it's like buying a fake iPhone, right? And then it breaks after 3 days, and you're like, iPhone, man, I bought this thing for $50 and it's not working. What the hell is wrong with iPhone? Well, you didn't buy an iPhone. You're not going to get an iPhone for $50, right? I think by now you got the message. So that is the reason why some of my things, I will not post them on YouTube, right? Because, you know, people will start to try to copy that, and then they'll try to sell whatever they're selling crazy. It happened. Even 2 of my students were trying to do it from Singapore, by the way. They were trying to steal stuff from our group and sell it, and we had to throw them out of the room once we found them. So, you know, there are going to be people like that. You can't stop them. So I'll do the webinar. I hope all of you can spread the link. Let more people come as possible so they'll get them, and they'll have an idea of really how pattern works, right? You will not get an in-depth of how you can learn to trade it so quick, but, you know, you'll have an idea of what we look at when we talk about patterns. So I'll post it, and let's get as many people to look at it, right? So watch this. We're looking for a correction here and then downside. I'm more inclined to think that the bigger picture is downside for a correction, like I showed you in the weekly and the daily. Even if we're going to go up, even if this thing is going to go up, okay, let me just get rid of that. Even if this is going to go up, what would have to happen is that you will have to have a correction here before it goes up. And let me show you that so you can have an idea what I'm looking at. If you're looking at any up move, you notice they had a correction here, very big correction. They had a much bigger correction in here, and they had a much bigger correction here. So nothing goes up like this. Right now, this is one single wave. Now, don't ask me why, because very few of you would understand what I'm going to say if I start explaining that. But we're looking for a bigger correction in here if you're going to have continuation to the upside. Now, there's a good chance that this might be starting an up wave. Depends on how you look at the entire pattern. When you go back to the year and you look at the whole structure, there's a good chance this might be a corrective structure. The reason I've always been saying this is not an impulse to the upside because it didn't look impulsive. But when you look at how this wave went up and how the corrective structures within went up, right? How they moved when they were making an impulse within a correction. And this could be an impulse within a correction. That might even come to break this top. If you're looking at the entire yearly structure as a big expanding triangle, we would be in a range for a long time. So if we get a deep correction here, we will start trading this up and we will be trading it all the way to break that up. So since you guys are lucky ones to give here, I'm going to show you a glance of it, what I'm going to show you when it comes. So let me see if I can get this IDC. I think this one should be where I got it. Yep. This is an example of what I'm looking at. Right? That's just a very slim example. So if you look, if you understand pattern and you understand the way pattern behaves and you look at them very deeply, we've been trying to master this, what we saw for a long while. You look at that sharp move and this sharp move, you tend to see the impulsiveness of them down. I am looking at this now as an expanding flat within a corrective structure. So we're probably getting a very similar expanding flat there within that corrective structure. What you see me do here is just take a copy of this and bring it across here. I'm expecting it to break the top if it is going to be the expansion that we're looking for. And that means any correction in here, and I will have to have that correction in here, any correction in here, or even slightly higher when you get a correction, that would trigger a move to the upside. That might just go. You're not going to take it and hold it because there are going to be bigger corrections in it. I'm looking for a correction like this right now. One like that in here will trigger the move to the upside. So it's the ability for you to recognize that pattern as a correction in there, and then you know you're going up, or it totally reverses back to the low. If they break this low again here, this pattern will no longer be valid. But as it stands right now, it's a possibility if we get that correction. So two things I'm looking for now to make my view as to what this is going to be long-term, whether I should be long-term, or whether I should be short long-term. I'm going to be short long-term if I see this thing starting to drop and break out of that structure and keep going. So if you're in sales, if you're in sales in this at the top there, you don't really have to worry long term because it's gonna make enough money for you downwards when they make the correction, right? So if you understand pattern, you're really not scared when you're in trade if you're entering at the right time of the trades. So once you understand how pattern behave, but you have to understand all the different types of pattern that exist. You have to be able to identify them. Like I could show you this pattern, like 100 of this pattern on the charts. That is why I'm thinking that that's a possibility of how this pattern could develop, right? Let's go back to what we're doing. Let me don't get into too long drawn out things. For your trading purpose, you're looking for short-term trades to the downside now, right? I'll come back to that long-term analysis and all of that we do. When it comes to recognizing pattern, you're not going to get that. There is nowhere in the world you're going to get it better than you get it in our group. And I don't know anyone else who can do it better than I can do it. I'm not self-praising myself. This is one of the only things I can do. There are many things that but everything else in the world, I'm like people write me and said, can you tell me about this? And I said, no, I have zero knowledge of it. But this is something I have knowledge of. This is something I know. I study this every single day for 10 hours. Until now, I spent 8-10 hours a day studying this stuff. So when I said, this is what I know, I'm talking with authority. I understand this structure. I really can master it. I really understand it. And the forecasts have been proving them well. And I'm still doing that every single day. So there's one thing that I know, but that is how to look at trading patterns. So if you really want to learn something, you really want to get that concept to understand, at least get the beginning of the concept of how it works, what create these patterns, join that free webinar when I put it out. And please share the link. I'm going to ask all of you to share it as much as you can. Let's get as many people as we can in there, right? No, I'm not a doctor. I was a medical student. A very good one, by the way, but a lot of circumstances beyond that. Let's go. Aussie. Aussie, we expected to break the top and go down. If you're following me, they'll go down. Remember, we said we're looking for a correction. I still think this is a correction to the upside because of the bigger pattern what it's doing, right? This is a correction. This one is not going to go break the top. So we will start to look for sell setups. They can go a little more, but you will start looking for sell setups to come back and retest this low. We might be in a sideways range, at least in all of them. The euro, the pound, the Aussie, they're all in a sideways range. After which we're going to decide they're going up for one more or they're actually going down. As the pieces are building, we can tell you that, like we told you when these pieces were building, right? So it's still in a building phase. Right now, this pattern is not ended. I think this pattern has a lot more sideways in it. We will be in that range for a long time. So you can start to look for sell setups. We don't have any sell setup, right? And they're coming down. If they give you a flag on a 1 hour, sell it, right? If you get a flag on a 1 hour here, sell. If you're going to buy it, it has to be above the top. They will have to break the top and you take profit because they're going to come back down. Right? I don't think they're going to, I don't see the structure whereby they're going to break that top again. New Zealand. New Zealand is the one that can go break the top. Remember we told you last week, if you want to buy New Zealand, hasn't broken the top, and if New Zealand is going to go, they can go break the top. So if you're going to get a buy setup between Aussie and New Zealand, and you have to take a trade, take the buy in the New Zealand. If you get a sell within Aussie and New Zealand and you have to take a trade, take the sell on the Aussie. New Zealand could consolidate here and we could watch them go and break that top there before they come back. So if they give you a flag here and you take a sell, it's a short-term trade, take profit. If you sell in the Aussie, you can keep it for downside. If you buy in the New Zealand, you can keep it until it breaks the top. If you bought here, you can keep that until it breaks the top, right? And move your stops. Just follow with stops as you go. So we're still looking for the possibility of New Zealand to go up some more. And that is possible. New Zealand could go up, Aussie could go down. You'll just have to look at the Aussie-New Zealand pair and you'll see that it's possibly going to go down. And Aussie-New Zealand, let me show you that right now, is showing some downside, right? I think I have it here, Aussie-New Zealand. It's showing a downside tendency. We're going down. So I wouldn't be surprised if Aussie continues to go down, but New Zealand goes up very slowly. This is going to go down right now, right? On the downside. I think this could go some more before they pull back. A pullback is likely, but this, you know, they can trip, just keep going like this and then make the pullback. When Aussie break it, when New Zealand break the top and turn, you might get a pullback here. So there is a possibility for that to happen. Come back to the US CAD. Just like we said it's going to happen, right? Perfectly as we said it's going to happen. You should take the sell and take your profit. Anybody took that sell and took your profit, you're doing well. You actually got a buy set up there that you should have bought this. And I still think they will go break the top. That has not changed. That view has not changed. That view is just perfectly working the way we expect it to work. And now what means if you get a correction here, you start buying, right? Right? If we get a correction there, we will expect that to go. So you got a nice buy here. The only thing you would have to be careful of is this being some kind of a flat that goes back to retest the low. That will not change the structure. It will just give you one more impulse to the downside and then the upside. Right? I don't see a change in the structure. So you'll wait for two things here. Don't jump in a buy. Wait for them to consolidate, make a flag. And if you get that flag, you buy. If they start to drop, you might not get the trade because it will not be a good trade. By the time they close that low, they'll stop here and go back up. You will get a very small trade. And if you do get a trade set up at the top for a sell, which means if this comes here and make a flag, they do that sometime, then you go for the sell. Only if you get the sell from the top here, then you go for the sell. If you don't get a sell from the top here, ignore the sell and look for the buy, right? Let's go. Yen. Yen is going down, drip, drip. We broke the low. And like we said, if you break the low, you still haven't changed the structure, right? If you break this low, remember it was here last week, you can get a small sell. Even if they go break the low and you keep selling short term, that does not change the structure, right? In this one, no, I didn't take the short trades in the yen here. I'm not interested. I'll show you why I'm not interested in that. We saw it going down very small, and my traders, if they take trade, they have to take each one and take profit out of it. You will probably not even get profit out of some. I'll just show you that. I'm still looking for this trade. I'm looking for the upside. And as a matter of fact, I'm already in the buy. I am already in the buy on the yen, right? So if you know how I trade differently. I trade very long term, and I really don't care about that. I would get an exit for break even if I'm wrong about that. Now, if you know how to manage your trade to break even when you're wrong about that, what structure should do when you're wrong, because I didn't buy at the top here, I'm buying at the bottom here. I bought when you broke that low. So my buys are after we broke this low. And if I'm wrong about it, I will get break even in that trade. I'll get positive in the trade if I'm wrong about it, right? If I'm right about it, I'm keeping all the way to the top. So what am I expecting here now? Let's look at the 4 hour. You can see that going down, right? We saw the trade patterns. You can see this, what this is doing. Let me show you in a 1 hour what that is doing. And if anybody who is a short-term trader tells you, go to you and tell you, hey, I'm selling this and I'm making a ton of money, he will lose his account. He's lying to you. Because if you sell this and it does that and you kept that trade, you know what's going to happen to you, right? The next thing you know, you keep trades like this, you're going to lose your account. So you probably got to break even there. You sold here and they do, and they go back, they give you a break even. You sold here and they come back right here, you got to break even. Now, if you understand structure, every 10 pips you will take your profit. That's all you're going to get, 10, 15 pips out of every trade. If you know those patterns, you can do it. Not many traders know those patterns and understand them. I don't trade for 10 pips, so I don't trade those structures. I wait for them to break out. And there's a good chance they're already breaking out. I can't confirm that. We'll watch this and wait for more consultant, but it's a good chance of breaking out. If you're not in the trade, you can wait for a breakout. I'll allow it to go faster. Maybe they trip down here again. I want a sharp up move, a correction, and then you can actually start trading that. What that means if you were wrong about it, you will be able to get a break-even trade because you will know how to manage yourself out of a 1 hour trade. But out of this long term, it is still going to go up. I'll show you an example of, for those of you who were following me earlier on this chart, you would remember this example. Remember this one here? When I said this pattern is going to go up? How many of you were with me when I said, before this down move happened, and I said, guys, watch this pattern, they're going to break to the upside? How many of you remember that, were following me then? Just put a yes if you were. Right? And what happened when it started to break down? The trolls came in like no tomorrow. Oh my God, this guy doesn't have a clue what he's talking about. Nothing like patterns exist. This will never go up. Look, yen is falling. Yen is going to go. Yen is getting stronger against the dollar, and this guy is crazy. Well, guess what? So most of them sold here. Most of them sold there. Can we put a reward out for them, guys? Because we're not going to find them anymore. This is what they missed. They had no clue. They simply had no clue how patterns behave. Remember what I said at the start? It's not a praise. I actually know patterns. I studied them for years, and I understand that when this was going down, your opportunity to buy comes just as they break that low. Take a snapshot of this because you may want to learn something why I'm buying yen and not selling yen when it's breaking this low. Right? See that? The trolls will come in. No doubt they will come. They will love to just come and say something, but they have no clue. One of them is going to tell you how he made $1 million doubling his account trading this little piece to the downside, right? He's going to tell you that he made a ton of money trading that little piece at the end to the downside. He's never going to tell you when he loses his account trying to do it, because that's not how they do. They stretched it to the downside, create an emotion in traders. And it's not only about traders. They don't really move this for traders. They actually move it towards where the orders are. The idea is not even to get anybody's stop loss, because if you put all the traders together, they're less than 1% of the market. The idea is moving the market towards where the orders are. So if you think very logical, just think logical for 1 single second. I'll give you a clue so you can learn. If you're a banker and you think that yen is going to get weak, yen is going to come to this level. Let's say you own one of the big banks, or you are running one of the big banks, Citibank, Bundesbank, anyone, and you think that yen is going to get weak, yen is going to come to 122. And you have a lot of yens in your hand, which means your yen balance in your account is huge. You wouldn't like to go up with that huge balance at the top. You'd like to make some money out of that, right? So your first idea would be, can I sell my yen at the higher price? Right? If yen and dollar goes down, that means yen is gaining value. So can I push this down and sell my yen here at a higher price before it goes up there? And you do have the ability to do that, right? It's normal business. It's not like they're messing with the market. That's just normal common sense business. You would want to get rid of some of your extra balance that you have of yen, but you don't want to sell it cheap. You want to sell it for a better price. So you push the price down and then you sell there. There will be willing buyers there. There will be buy orders at the bottom there, and you know where the buy orders is because they come to you. You're the bank. If a big company wants to buy yen, they're going to give you the order to sell it to them. The big company is going to put that order out there. A big Japanese company wants to buy yen to pay, I don't know, Toyota wants to buy yen, right? Because they just got an influx of US dollar and they want to buy yen so that they can pay their salaries and pay their expense there. And they put $1 billion out or whatever amount out of yen they would like to buy, convert USD. You would like to convert for them at the best price for the bank and then move that up at the top there to buy back the yen at a much cheaper price. That's business, that's normal. So when you see that push going down there, only crazy people think, oh, this thing is getting strong. It's getting strong because the government, somebody said this and somebody said that. Ignore what the somebody said. Market does not move with what somebody said. They may use the moment when somebody said something to move the market, but that's not why market moves. I can take this chart and any one of you want to tell me, I'll put it in a weekly. Any one of you want to tell me where the Japanese were making, when they were inventing, they were intervening into the market, where what they did? None of you can tell me. They actually did 3 interventions. None of you would know where they are. One was here. I think this was one, and this was one. Which direction did the market go when they wanted to weaken the yen? Those are the 3 times they intervened into the market to weaken the yen. You see what direction the yen goes? And you're talking about the central bank of Japan, the people who actually has the highest authority to control the price of yen if they want to. And they wanted to. That's a perfect structure that formed there. You would not know where that intervention took place. None of you in the chart could tell me, right? Because that's not how structure moves. It happens. It's a short. These are just spikes now in the chart. When you look at them, oh, that was a huge spike. No, it wasn't a huge spike. Now in the chart, that wasn't a huge spike. At the time it happened, on a 5-minute chart, darn, that was a huge spike. That sent the whole world crazy. But guess what? In the biggest structure, nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's just part of the market. So exactly why this downside is telling me it's part of the market is going to go up. Let's watch it happen. That's the whole point. You watch it. Let's see. Will there be a change in structure? We will know if there's a change in structure. So I'm still looking for upside. Watch for the upside, right? If you're going to get short downside, and you can still get short downside, if you get a sell setup and you take it, if this drops the next 50 to 100 pips and you get a trader, take the trade, take profit. Doesn't mean you can't sell it, but I don't see this dropping a big drop. But the short drop, yes, you can take profit. Right now, structurally, we're looking for an up move. Swiss daily, just show you the daily structure. This is the daily structure. We broke the low on the Swiss. So any up move in the Swiss, which is possible, I'll be looking for as a correction. So the Swiss might make a correction. I think first I want to see the correction come and break that up, and then we will see whether they get to this level. So you can look for a correction in the Swiss to the upside too. If not necessarily, good question somebody just posed. The small moves, those small drops could wipe out your account. Not necessarily, it depends on how you're trading. If you're over trading, yeah, those small moves will wipe your account out. If you're risking 5-10% on every trade, you're likely going to get wiped out in a small movement. But if you're not, it's a percentage wise of your account, whether you're trading 1 million or you're trading 1,000, is the percentage you're risking that with that little trades like that. And if you're using a stop loss, you don't have to worry. You would probably lose one small trade. Most of the time, if you were trying to buy that and you're buying in the right spot on a short time frame, you would be able to close. I could have closed my trade for break even, I think about 5 times. You can close it for break even if you're planning and trading short term and closing your trade for break even and then getting into the next trade, right? That's the whole difference. When you're using huge capital, you probably don't want to use stop loss. You're telling them, you're putting an order. What a stop loss is I'm putting an order to buy or to sell. And the market might likely, if you're using huge capital, might likely get to your order, right? Not that they care it. It's not a big sum for them, right? So this one I think is pretty easy, silver. We saw this upside. Actually, when it was dropping, we looked at that and said, guys, silver might come back, break that top. I think they're going to go back, break the top again. So you might get another short trade here, right? It's not long-term as yet. It's short trades. Take it as short trades. Gold will go to the downside. It's a short term. It's pushing up short term. They might even break this top. That will not change the structure that you were going to get this move to the downside, right? This structure will not change. Now, this move to the downside, if they don't break the top, I'm expecting them to come back all the way here. If they do break that top slightly, right, like this, and then come down, they can stop anywhere here and go back up. They don't have to break the low anymore once they do that. We'll be looking mostly for a running plan. Do you have a buy setup? There was a short-term buy setup. That's gone. You don't have any right now. And you probably be looking for a sell setup. If I were you, I'd probably look for sell setups here. Selling from the top is a good idea. So even if they go and break the top and you don't get buy, you start looking for sell setups. And I can show you that, how it works in gold, so you can have an idea why when those things happen, you start looking for trade. If you remember gold, we were buying from here. I don't think it's on this chart, but it should be in one of these charts. We're looking for this drop, and then there, maybe in the other chart I had it, where we put that. Once these structures break, this was a structure that was going down very nicely. One day broke, you're looking, and there was a chart that we put out for that. Probably find it somewhere, right? One guy said, don't show your past charts. We know you can do it. Yeah, you know I can do it, but I need to show new traders who are the first time in the room and they're seeing this. And like, what is this guy talking about? So you can remind them what we talk about, and then they will understand how it moves. Euro-Oz. Euro-Oz is going sideways. You probably get one more up trade. If you're looking for a buy setup, you probably allow it to come. There's a small sell setup that was going to happen here because I think they're going to break this low. We're more or less in this pattern here, right? More or less this pattern. Then I expect one more up. So first you look for a short-term sell. That's this week, and then we'll see how far that goes. Because not necessarily they're making exactly this pattern here, but right now it looks like that is the pattern. We can't confirm that pattern until they break out the top. It's an expansion. That's the only way you confirm them, right? New Zealand broke as we expected. It took a long time though. At some point we were, I was worrying about this part making another up before they come, right? So they actually broke out. You had a nice flag there before they broke out, so it wasn't like difficult for you to see. I think this was easy for most of you who want to trade this. Anybody took that sell, by the way? They broke the structure and then they had a wonderful flag that they were breaking, which was an easy trade for you guys. If you're looking at it, this is an easy trade, right? Because we expected to go down and they're doing exactly that. So how far can they go? I think we might see them come lower. You can watch this. There's a good chance they're going to come lower. EuroCAD. EuroCAD is pulsing up like the yen is going down. EuroCAD is pulsing up, but they're pulsing up within this structure. And that means you're looking for sell setups. On the daily, you can see the EuroCAD. They are going to probably go up, retest this top. But first, you want them to come back here. So you can look for short-term downside before you get that one. Short-term, they will have to break this structure, make a correction. So look for that correction, and then you look for upside, right? There is divergence in all time frame. So you can ignore that because it's an all time frame. That means you're probably going to get, you are going to get some downside here. Euro Chief is the same thing. This one broke. You see that, but it's not going aggressively. We expected that to break last week. It broke. I hope all of you got into the trades, but it's not going aggressive. When you get trades like that, move your stop. They can make one more up and then come down. This would be a good buy. Actually, if they break this, go buy it to break it down. It's possible they can go one more up and then the downside has not changed. The downside structure, once they broke this bigger one here, remember, once they broke that downside structure has not changed. Not as yet. So even if they go back up here one more, we will just be in a bigger consolidation. If they come here, we will still expect this to go down. This will become much of a bigger consolidation for downside. So you might want to look for a short-term buy this week in this pair. right? A very short-term buy because of the fact that they're going very slow. The bigger picture is still a sell. Euro yen, I think we can get a buy set up here now because of what they're doing here. We're looking at this structure. And once they start making these shorter waves down, probably tag the low, make a couple more in here. And if they do that, we're looking for one more high. One more impulse out of this would be the trade you'll be looking for. The only way that changes is if now they break out of it, you get the trade, they go a little more and then start to come back for a bigger flat. Well, worst case is you're going to get a break even. So when they break out and you get in the trade, you put that to break even. But I think very likely we're going to retest this top. Once they break the top, take your profit, right? Take your profit out. It's moving up slowly. They're going to make a deeper correction, but the correction might not come in terms of how we're looking at it. We might not get it. If this goes back up here and break the top, the correction might start to come sideways. Not deep, but more sideways before they go, right? So I think we're looking for bigger downside though. So we'll keep an eye on what this correction. We were expecting them to make a correction back to this level, but they keep making corrections, going up slowly. So whether they're going to make a deep one, maybe after they break the top, we'll see that. But right now it looks like they can go sideways here, then go up, rather than go back deep. So let's see. Put that in a 4-hour. And you're looking for a buy setup. So this week, I think we can get a move up. There's likely you can get that move up. Euro pound broke the top, coming back down. I hope some of you got the sell. Right, you could have sell it from here. You could have sell it from this breakout. You can sell it again. So if you're not in, make another flag, sell to this level. Once it comes here, they're going to turn. This is not a down move. This is an up move. Once they come here short term, they're going to go back up. Remember last week I told you it's in an up move. It's not in a down move, right? This whole structure is going to go back up. So when they come here, they're likely going to start taking off to the upside. You're going to get an up move after that. I don't think they're going to break this low. Not this structure as yet. So we'll keep an eye on it. If they break the low and you're in a sell, well, I'm wrong, but you're lucky, right? So I'll be happy to be in it because I'm looking for sells. Right? So if you get in the sell here and I will be in the sell too and I'm wrong, good for all of us. But once they come here, don't forget to move your stops. You're not playing with luck. You're playing with the analysis, right? It means if you know that they're likely going to turn there, move your stops. If they turn, good. What do we call these patterns? We don't share that information here. That information you get when you take the course. It's a long thing. It's not that easy to understand all of them. But we teach you to do that. This is a good one. This is the one I started with because it was easy for us to trade up and down, up and down. You got another short trade up here, and I think you can get a very nice short trade up to the top, break the top, and then you start looking for a trade to the downside, right? These patterns tend to break to the downside. Once they come here, you can start taking profit. Pound New Zealand, also expecting some to the upside. There's a good chance they might come here first, but I'm expecting them to make some move back to the upside because of this pattern that we're seeing here. The only thing that changes this pattern here, this specific one, is if this is if that is a running flat, well, they'll have to make a flag here. And if they make a flag here, you can sell this. Because if we look at that as a running flat, they'll break through. They'll break through this structure. And breaking through the structure means you're not going to get the upside anymore, right? But right now, I still think that upside is possible. So look for the buying of the sell. The sell will be short term until they break the structure. Pound CAD also will break that top. They're still going up. Remember last week we said watch for this, and once they did it, we said okay, good. They will still climb to break the top. Once they break the top, we're going to be on the downside. Let me show you that one. They're coming to break that daily top. This was the only pound trade that we were always looking for upside because we never broke the top. When they break the top, we'll be looking for a reversal. From that point, we'll be looking for a reversal back to the down and probably breaking out of the entire structure. So short-term upside, you can still get some upside short-term. You can still trade it. I think we're getting some kind of a correction here for more upside. You can look for that trade. And then when you break the top, you start moving your stops to take profit. It's going very slow. And that is actually a good thing when they go so slow. because now your sell become easier for you. Right? The sell pattern is easily identified. It's much easier to identify. Pound Swiss, this one will go down. It might consolidate here a while all of them are consolidating, probably even do something like that, but this is going down. The entire pattern in here is telling us they're going to go down. So any upside, ignore this, buy the pound CAD. If it's pound movement, buy the pound CAD, right? This pattern is downside, and this will go. We've identified this trade. I think I've spoken about this in details. I did those daily webinars explaining to you that this will come down, right? It might even come here and might even go lower, right? But we knew that way back. You saw that already. So watch this here. If they go make a little move up like this here, ignore that little move up because from there they're coming down. Let's go to Pound Yen. Pound Yen is coming down, and Pound Yen is one of the most complex patterns that I have seen. I still have no idea what the bigger pattern is. Little pieces inside we can identify, but what the bigger structure will be, absolutely no idea, right? So we're still waiting for that to complete, and I still think you're going to get some more downside. We're expecting a little more downside on it, and then we'll see, wait for that upside to happen. So right now you're getting consolidation here. They can go there, but we look for, let me put it in the 1 hour so I can show you. Short term, you're going to get a buy, which means this as the word, they're going to go, right? No, they will know when it's finished. Don't worry. They'll tell you when it's finished. They'll tell you if it goes up, how many of them bought it, and when it go down, they'll say, hey, when it's already way down, they'll say, hey, I sold it. They never sell before the move happens, right? That's the good thing about the trolls. They don't sell before it happens. They can't tell you before, but they can definitely tell you when it's finished. 100% they know it was going to fall when it fell, when it's already over, right? So this one is probably going to give you a short-term trade there. If you take that trade, just move to break even, because I am not sure it's going to be the big trade up. There's a good chance we will go down more in this structure, at least back to this low. We're expecting them to get back to this low. There's a reason we put that line there. You guys know that, right? I'm expecting them to get back to that line, right? Break the bottom, and then we're going to see the upside start. So if you get a buy right now on this, which is possible, right? If you get that buy, just be careful, right? Because it might not be the buy that goes. Aussie Yen, look for a buy setup. This one is easy. I don't care if this goes down. If they break out of here, look for a buy setup. Ignore the sell. Don't try to sell the Aussie Yen right now. Aussie CAD, probably stay out of this. It's a pattern that is going up. It's very complex and it's going very slow. It will not go very fast. Aussie New Zealand going down. So Aussie Yen going down, Aussie New Zealand going down, Aussie CAD going up slightly. So those three are giving us confusing movement, which means all those movement could happen, but they're not going to be Aussie movement, right? So they could go up and down, but it's not the Aussie that will be moving the chart. It's the other side on the pair that will be moving that chart. And Aussie Swiss. Sideways, up slightly, but sideways. So you can see this slightly going back up here, making that flat for downside. So this will be very slow. Even if they come back here, it's very slow because they'll still do that and then go down. So we're in a big sideways movement. Most Aussie trades are in the sideways move right now. So probably even stay out of them. That's the easiest thing to do. Wait for the patterns to complete themselves and then try to get the impulse. New Zealand CAD, at some point this will start to break, so you can start looking for that short-term downside trade. You can start looking for this trade to come back here, right? Very likely it is going to come. You can see there are many reasons why this thing should come. Go back to the 1 hour, and you can see at the top what they're doing, right? I think all of you know this pattern by now. And when they start to do that, you're expecting them to break down at some point. So if they consolidate here, the same thing, you get a trade like that. Do you want to trade that? You get another one, you get a trade like that, you get another. If you want to trade these, that's good. Trade them short term. But at some point they're going to break down. Some point, you look, there's a similar one here. You can see it, right? Some point you're going to get this trade. And there's a similar one here. See this one? Some point you're going to get that trade. We're making one here. At some point we're looking for this trade. Look for this trade here. That would be a fast trade if it happens. Might take a long, if you're talking about this one too early, it might take a while, let them go, but Can you trade in that little piece there? I mean, that's the whole point. Can you trade, or should you even trade in there? I put that in the 15 minutes. Let me show you. You want to trade in here? What's your trade? Buy or sell? Which side of the trade are you taking? See, it's easy to say yes, but if you sell, well, you got to be careful. Take 10 pips out, 5 pips out. If you buy, it's the same thing. Because you're not keeping any of these trades in an uncertain. The only direction that is certain about this is that there's a 90% chance it can break down. So if you're taking all the sells, you got to put them to break even. Otherwise, there'll be losses until it breaks. You can get a lot of break-even trades. Same with the New Zealand Swiss. You're getting a very similar structure here. I think it can show you this. You're getting a very similar structure here. And eventually it's going to come back to this level. Look for the sell setup. Wait for the setup first. New Zealand yen, buy it. You're looking for a buy. This absolutely is a buy. There's nothing else you would look for here but a buy. So, small review. Dollar yen, we're looking for buy. Euro yen, we're looking for buy. Pound yen, we don't know. Aussie yen, we're looking for a buy or stay out of it. New Zealand yen, you're definitely looking for a buy. Something seems to be making sense, right? So let's look at the next yen pair we can look at. CAD yen, you're definitely looking for a buy. Swiss yen, this is the only one you're looking for a sell. That might give you a sell. And when that sell is finished, you're looking for the buy. So let me show you the sell setup. If you remember, we're saying we're expecting this to crawl its way down to the bottom and then give you that move. This would be your regular flat pattern. So how much more we have to the low? Not very much more. So if we're going to get the yen going up and the Swiss going up, there's a likelihood that the first move to the upside would be on the Swiss. The first spike to the upside will be on the Swiss. Complete this move before the yen starts to go up. So if they're going to break this low, they don't have to, but we always like them to break the low. You know that from my analysis. They don't have to break that low, but if they do break that low, you're looking for this move. If they don't break the low, you'll have to wait for a buy setup. We don't have a buy setup on this on the 4 hour, and we don't have a buy setup on the 1 hour. So we were expecting them to crawl down and break that low. The sell is there. You had this sell, you're getting this sell set up, and they can probably do this and do another one like that, and then drop, and another one like that and drop. So we could probably get it taking a long time to go, but they will break that low and then turn to the upside. Right? So this is the only yen pair you're actually not looking for a buy. And the reason is it's either going to start to go sideways. If both the Swiss and the yen go up, we'll probably get this. Right? If the Swiss goes up first, you get a drop. If the yen goes up first, you get this. Right? It's not going to go anywhere. So stay out of this one. CAD Swiss, short-term sell, but do you want it to stay out of it? It's not going anywhere. You can see, right? This pattern, this is a sell setup. It didn't go anywhere. There was a sell setup here. That didn't go anywhere. There was a sell setup here. Well, this is the only sell setup that gave you a good trade. This is another sell setup. It's not going anywhere. It's going to do this, and then it's going to do that, and drop and do that, and drop and do that. And when it starts to do this, what is your trade? Upside. Right? That would be your trade. So let them drip, drip, drip to the downside, and then you look for that spike to the upside. Because if you're going to trade the drip, drip, you're likely either going to get the nervous breakdown, or you're probably going to get a lot of break-even trades. It's simply not going anywhere. Wait for it to drip, 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 and then you look for the upside. They're probably going to come back to this level. I think you can see that. Right? Easy to see, right? Now, they might not get to the low, because I want you to see this pattern. See that? 1, 2, 3. We got a correction here. We can look at this tree as the correction if we want. We got another one. We're making one. See, we're making this one here. We've got to get this move up. And that is the move you should look for when they start to drip, drip, drip like that. Without breaking that low, they're going to turn. So they don't have to turn to the trend line. The trend line means nothing right now. The trend line is there for a different purpose. There is no support and resistance in the chart, so they're not going to find resistance anywhere. They're going to wait until the pattern is complete. What will complete the pattern and where it will complete this pattern in this one? If you know pattern, you can track this in a lower time frame and look for that reversal. I'm giving you the easiest way to get out of it. Wait until they give you an impulse up and buy that, because you're going to get a very sharp move. If you're buying this one, let me go back as far as where that finished. This, I think this was the one here. Yep, this one. If you're paying attention to this pattern, right, you would know for sure that that pattern is going to go up, right? They'll make that up move. So once they came down and break here, you start looking for a buy. Your first buy will probably come in here. Your first buy setup will come in here for you. That's your trade, right? So they came, they break the low again. You look at the entire pattern. You see this one. If you know anything about pattern, you see this. You're looking for this buy. Your first buy comes in here. You get that trade. You will not get this. You'll be out of that trade right here. You get this trade, and then you get that trade. See? So wait for the trade. You will get it. Copper. If you were listening to me in copper, you would be in the buy. And those are 3 buys that we actually took in our trading room. 3 buys that we took in our trading room. Pretty easy. 1, 2, 3. And those are the 3 buys we're in. All stops should be here. You can move this to break even or take it out if you want to, or you can keep it. All stops should be there, right? It's easy to do, right? It's not like it's difficult to do. Where are we expecting this to go? We're expecting them to tag this top here. When they tag the top, you should take off all your trade. Difficult? Absolutely not, right? US oil. Let me give you want to help your client get out of US oil? We've got to move up and we've got to move up. What happens when you get that? You see what happens there? They go sideways. Potentially they can go sideways. But based on what we're thinking of it, they can potentially go down and retest this low. So there are 2 possibilities right now, and both of them, not every time the chart will show both possibilities, but right now, this chart is telling us that both of those possibilities are open, depending on what this pattern is making. Are we making a leading diagonal for an upside, or is that a flat for downside? Either of those 2 patterns can be built with what you have right now, right? So 4 hour. You broke out of that. And remember, we're saying you got some sell setups, but this could still be a correction that will give you 1 more up before they actually start to fall, if they're going to fall very hard. They're not falling very hard. So if we're making a bigger correction, this is very good for a bigger correction back to the trend line. And by bigger correction, I mean you're getting 1. You notice we got that, you got 2, they're gonna come down some more, they'll probably make a big move back up and go back there. If you're gonna make a bigger correction for upside, 1 more up, 5 waves within that structure. So right now you are in the correction. So depending on where your client got in, right? Right? Depending on where your client got in the trade, if he got in a sell here, he still has a buy there, he still has a chance to get out of that buy for break even and probably with a little profit. If he got in a sell at the bottom here, he still has a chance to get out of that sell with profit. Because right now we're expecting them to do 2 things. Consolidate here and make a big correction and go back up again. 1 more, that is this 1 more up after this consolidation, a bigger consolidation than that. Or totally drop. So, but if they're going to totally drop, they will probably make some corrections here and then go. So your client will have to, when you see that, decide that downside and get the hell out of the trade, right? That's the deep one. Let's go to the immediate trade you're looking for. The immediate trade you're looking for now was a buy, so now you start looking for the sell. Because we did make one, we made two, we saw this coming. We thought this was going to go back up. They do this, and they tend to do this a few times, and then they drop. So you'd expect some kind of a correction here, and then you'll drop beyond this low. If this crawls its way back to the top, let me pull this line here. That line doesn't mean anything right now to most of you, and it's not a trend line there as if, but if they crawl their way up back to the top here, which is possible, like this one, see, they crawled their way down to the bottom. If they crawl their way back to the top, you just wait for this to break, because it will likely break. They will break and retest this low, so you're going to get something like a 1, a 2, and a 3. If they don't go back there, they're still going to come to break this low here. But now it's not a 1, 2, 3, it's one piece. That's a whole different story. And that's something we teach you to do. Understand which part belongs to one, what is a single wave, and how it works, right? So I hope that helps you and you can help your client, right? By the way, the best thing you should do is use a stop if he has no idea where the charts are going to go. We're seeing the same pattern here, and the daily, it's exactly the same thing. They're either going to make a very big sideways move. You see these bigger corrections, you don't know exactly what pattern, what shape, and what form they will be. We know all the possibilities that exist, and as they start to develop, you can actually tell what they're going to be. And I'm going to show you one where we actually made all the pieces forecast absolutely correct, and now we know what the pattern is. Before that, you couldn't tell what it was, right? But I'll show you. Here's a good chance they may do this and just drop. So if you get that, that's a nice trade. If they're going to drop, if they're going sideways, they're going to trip, go back up there, trip, go back up there, and then probably give you something like this eventually for downside, for upside, one more up, right? So we're in a correction right now. Natural gas was the one where every single piece of this trade we got perfectly correct. If you can go back and check all my webinars and follow them. They made this move and they made that move, and we said, okay, you need to make a move either down here or make a sideways here. Once we saw this sideways start to happen, we focused that up, this down, up, and come back here because we saw the flat there. And then come here, break this low, and go back up to break this high. And then come back down here to break this low, and then go back up there. So there's only one piece in this whole puzzle remaining for us to get absolutely correct. And then we can say we have that perfectly correct. That is this piece to happen. Because this one happened, that one happened, these inside happened, and this one is happening. Break the low. Don't expect them to break this, which means they can go a little lower than that, and then look for this one. We don't care how low they go. You can follow it if you're trading it. And then look for this to go back up, right? I have no idea why those two charts are different. It could be they're trading differently. They're based on different things to look like that. That is possible. But this one we have been following, and this one is doing perfectly what we wanted to do. And it's classical the way it behaves in terms of patterns that can be made, that we know that exist. So when they break here, you start looking for buy, which means if you sold from the top there, good for you. Look for buy setups. If you get a short-term buy, if you get a buy without them breaking the low, put that buy to break even because they will still probably come break the low and then go. So you get this buy set up, it doesn't go anywhere, come here, you're gonna put a break even because if they start dropping from there, you'll get a loss. They can do that and they can do that a number of times and then go up. So you're gonna watch for that trade and you'll take every attempt to the upside. And if you do that, luck is gonna be on your side. Let me put it that way. S&P 500 consolidating. It's in a sideways move consolidating. And this is actually good news. I like to see them do all these consolidations in here because then they're going to come back here and they may break out. Long term, they can go here and come back here and do this a number of times before they break. But we're expecting you sell. You look for sell setups, right? 1 hour. Look for sell setups. Short-term buys, probably ignore that right now. I'll probably watch this if they start to give you short-term sells and see how fast they go or how slow they go. That will determine whether you're getting one more up or you're totally going to fall. I think likely, if you ask me, likely they're going to come here and they're going to go back up. Then go down. I'm expecting this to be a more complex pattern in here, more sideways. Can they go up from here totally? Up totally, I don't think so, because this is too short a wave to be this is too sharp to be a correction. So they might just, even if they do this, we'll still expect downside. I don't think they're going to go up totally and break it down. And the whole move to the downside is not the fall on the S&P. I think I explained that already. It is more of a corrective structure. Remember the last time everybody was like, oh, this is going to fall. And I was like, no, that's a corrective structure. Well, we are again in a corrective structure. We're not falling anywhere, which means you are going to see higher highs in the S&P 500. They will break that up. Give it 6 to 10 months, probably. They're going to go sideways for a while, and then you're probably going to get that. Right? So this is not the big fall everybody's expecting. You know when the big fall is going to come? When nobody expects it to happen. If everybody's prepared for the big fall, it will not fall. It will start to fall when nobody's prepared for it. So right now, they're going to make a big consolidation and go back up. But not now. The upside is going to be a long time from now. They just started that consolidation. Right? Same here. We're in a big sideways move, and I think we'll probably just go sideways for a while. So you might even get some more up here, and then you can start to look for the down. I don't think this is ready. They can probably crawl up some more and then go down. So they're going to be in a big sideways move, basically. Same here. You've got the same three-wave pattern. You could probably get a short-term sell here. There's a good chance you get a short-term sell, come back to the low, make a more complex pattern in here, come back here, go back up again. So it's a big sideways move. Nifty is making a sideways too, right? I think Nifty is going to go back up. Watch this piece. Watch this piece here. Come here, go back up there, and then start to drop. There's a good chance you could get that pattern in play. So for my traders, remember, if you're in the sell, you're going to move your stop until they break this low. That is one of the trade calls we're looking for in the room. And let's go. Let's see what else we're looking. Ruble, a forecast I made in Ruble, I think a while back. We're in this big sideways move. Right, really big sideways move. I still think this one is going to go back up. They're just crawling down, kind of going sideways. So they might even come here, but they're going to go back up to this stuff at least, and then we'll see where that goes. Bitcoin, if you're listening to me, you should be buying Bitcoin right now. If you want to trade Bitcoin, you can buy Bitcoin. This is your buy, at least back to this level, and then we'll see. There's a good chance this will break out to make a bigger correction, not breaking the top. I don't think this is the one going to break the top. But either they're going to make a 1, 2, 3 here, which means if they start to come back down here, you will sell beyond this point here, and then they're going to go back up. Kind of this pattern here, 1, 2, 3 in there, right? If they make a flag, which means you're waiting for that flag, this is not a flag, wait for a flag here like you waited for this one. If you're waiting for a flag there, then you might take one more trade up to see whether they break out of this. Because if they break out of this would be one piece in a bigger correction. This correction will come here and then probably start going back down there, making a very, very big sideways move. So, which is it? If you're in the buy, move your stops. Stay with it, right? This one, you're looking for a sell. You can see that already. They're starting to kind of like looking sideways here. They'll probably do this and do one more drop. Right? There's a likelihood they'll do that. I wouldn't be buying this until we break out. This moves depends on what time frame you put the chart in. That is a daily one. That's why you see it. I wouldn't be buying this just exactly here. Right? You can look for a buy here. They'll come back. Watch this. This is making a nice flat for you here. And then look for that buy. Right? Probably retesting the top. This is the only one that might retest the top before they come back, if they do, right? They're in a daily big sideways move. You can see that. Big sideways move in the daily. Oh, come on. Okay. So I can see this going back to the top there when they come down here first. Put it back in the 1 hour. You can see the downside is what they're doing, but it's sideways, right? This one would likely come down some more here before the upside. So you can trade this, right? Is there any chance GL? GL would be what? Gold? What is it you're looking for, GL? I have no idea. And Ripple, for those of you who trade that, yes, this one, right? If you're in the buy, which you're supposed to buy here, then you want to be careful because they're going to probably make a flat here and then give you another buy option. You can look for a short-term sell if you want to sell it short-term. If not, just wait for the buy opportunity, right? Wait for the buy opportunity. I think this one will go very slow. They'll come here. They'll probably go back up there, come back here, you know, make another one, go back there, come back here, make another one, go there. And then we're going to get another sharp pullback. So we're going to be in a range. It will be ranging sideways. This is your first move done. We're in a second move, and then they'll make a third. Just ranging, but you can trade it. Bitcoin to see 1,005, possible. But not on this move now. This move is probably going to go up, and on the next fall, that's possible. On the next fall, it's very likely it could happen. So if you're going to trade the upside now, it's just regular thing. Everything makes structure, guys. Nothing is. The idea is that the market moves like that because of nature, the way nature works, the way we think, the way we behave, the way we buy and sell things, where our fair steps in, where you're put all those complexity together. Creates these patterns. And the good thing about it is these patterns keep repeating themselves every time because we're the same people. We haven't changed much. We have the same basic instincts, right? We still eat food. We still sleep, right? We still do the same things. Whether we do them faster or slower, it doesn't matter. We do the same things in life, right? Your basic instincts are there. You behave the same way. You still get fair. You still get greed in you. That has not changed, right? All of that is what gets into the market. The whole complexity of everything. So you can't study all of that in every single field and everything. You can't know how people are going to behave, the nature of the people, the companies, the brokers, the banks, everybody who's involved in Bitcoin. You can't know their personal, what any one person is going to do. You don't know what a group of people are going to do. You don't know what a bank is. You don't know who is going to be involved in what and doing that. And you don't need to know it. The good thing about it is you don't need to know that because that's the unknown. No one knows it. Anyone who claims that they understand what Bitcoin is going to do because fundamentals is going to do is telling you a load of crap because he has no idea. He's talking out of nonsense. But here's what you know. You know what the price of Bitcoin is doing right now. And you know what the price of Bitcoin did previously. You know that because it's on a chart. It's plotted on a chart for you. Look at the chart. And then what you can do is study the patterns that are created, regardless of why those patterns are created. It doesn't matter what created them or why they were created, but you saw those patterns. And when you see those patterns, you decide what happened after they made this pattern. After they made an X, what happened? What happens when you see a red light and you want to cross the road? What happens when you see a green light and you want to cross the road? And what happens when you see the same thing the next time? What's your reaction when you see a red light or a green light the next time? It's the same thing. When you see that pattern, it means the market is behaving in a specific way. Whether somebody is manipulating it, whether somebody is trying to do something, whether it's a regular thing people are doing, they're doing something, and that something they're doing created this pattern. So every time they're going to do that something again, they will create a similar pattern. And when you see the similar pattern, because they were preparing to do something and they did it, the next time they're prepared to do it and you see the pattern, they will do it again. Very likely, the probability of them repeating it again is the same. Right? It's like running. When you were watching, I don't know how many of you, I think all of you watched the Olympic Games, right? The Summer Olympic Games. And you're watching the marathon and you're seeing one guy just hugging at the back of the guy who's in front, right? He never tries to pass him, especially in the last lap or the last two laps, right? He's like sitting there on that guy. And then he just takes off an 800 meter and he just takes off past the guy and the guy never gets him back, right? He has a strategy. So every time you see that, you're like, oh, this guy's going to win the race, right? The high probability of him winning the race because he's going to just fly past that guy and the guy is never going to get back to him. Right? So when you do, these are strategies that people use to do things. It's the same thing in the market. They have their strategy the way they're doing. We don't need to know their strategy. They will never tell us. We don't need to know it. But when the market as a whole is behaving with everybody's strategy plotted on it, we can see how it behaves. And then we can say, you know what, guys? Let them repeat that. We know what they're going to do. And that's your edge in the market, understanding those patterns correctly. A lot of people are talking about patterns out there. Most of them have no clue what they're saying, but they like to use the word. I know a guy who likes to use the word, hey, I'm looking at structure, and I look at his charts, I look at a few of his webinars, and I'm like, oh my God. God save him, because he has no idea what he's talking about. He just talks, he just mentioned the words because it sounds like, you know, if you keep repeating the same word over and over, people might think you know what you're saying. The reality is, if you really study these structures and you understand them, you can clearly visualize them, you can see them, you can forecast them, they work. And that's the only way you get an edge, if you can forecast them correctly, right? You have to be able to see it before it happens, not hindsight. If you see it hindsight, so what's the use of it? It's useless. If you can forecast it right, and if it doesn't even have to happen every time. You will get it incorrect because you're doing forecasts. You're making an assumption that this is the pattern. And that might not be the exact pattern you're looking for. So if a few times it doesn't behave that way you thought it will behave, that's okay. You're not trading something that doesn't do what you don't expect it to do. But when it does what you expect it to do, that's the trade you want. You want that one single trade when it behaves the way you expect it to behave. And you grab it and you take it and you run with it. When it doesn't do that, you have two things you can do. If you're already in the trade, manage your way out for break even, or take a small loss and get the hell out of it. Now, the better you get at structure, the easier it is for you not to panic and understand that when you're going to get your break even or how it should behave. It didn't behave the way you expected. Start to behave different. And you said, okay, wait a second. Where did I get this wrong? What structure I was looking at and what structure did they make? And you look at the structure they made and you said, you know what? Hey, I'm still good. This is okay. This will still have to go. It's not changing the bigger structure. Or, oh my God, the bigger structure just changed. So now I have to restructure. I have to relook at it and redo what I do and then look to get the hell out of it, either for a small loss or for a break even. And very often, if you're good at doing this, amazingly, you can do that. That gives you the edge in the market. That is why we spend 6 weeks, 5 weeks teaching people the basic stuff of how to do that. And then we have them the rest of their life here learning to master that to the extent where it really gives them an edge. And you'll be surprised to see some of the snapshots of people's trading account that they send to me, right? In 1 week, one guy, just made so much money that the course he paid for, he could pay for it like 10 times. Because of and that's just 1 week. And this guy is making money a lot. And a lot of other traders are doing. I get that snapshot from them still. Right? So it's amazing. You just have to understand how it behaves and what it does. It's very simple when you know how to do it. As one guy just mentioned above, when you are doing it in the chart, it looks easy. When you leave and I take a chart and start doing it, I have a clue what they're doing. Well, that is because you don't understand the rules of how to look at the structure. And there are rules. When I said rules, I mean they're rule-based. If they're not rule-based, you will never be able to identify them. So if anyone else is teaching you something and it's not based on rule, then it's subjective. That means forget about it. There has to be very strict rules on how you can identify each one. Otherwise, then everybody just do their own thing. Pretty much what most elliott wavers do. Everyone just do their own thing. Everyone just have their own kind of counting. They count to 5 waves. Some of them see 5, some of them see 9, some of them see 7. You can see any amount of wave, depends on what substance you're using, right? But it's not rule-based. That is why they don't all see the same thing. In my group, we all have to see the same thing. We can only see something different if we are seeing something partial. And we're making an assumption that this will be a regular flat, it will be a contracting flat, it's going to be a running flat. We have partial behavior. When it's almost there, we definitely see the same thing, right? If it was as easy as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ABC, we would all be millionaires. It's not that easy, right? I know we have a few millionaires in this room who are going to be millionaires, but not all of us. Right? Because it's not that easy. I would be happy if that was so easy, but it's not. It's much more complicated than that. So let me leave you guys with that thought. And remember to share the link when I post it out because it's going to be amazing. I'll try to give you guys some ideas, see some clues about it. All right. Definitely, Mohammed. Once you put that hard work and dedication in, you will see. I mean, amazing things. Even now I'm still learning things in that pattern. Like I showed you that pump chart I did. I did that only this weekend, where I looked at it and said, oh my God, this is just totally what I'm seeing now. It's so different from what I thought it was before, right? So I would see all of you. Take care. Don't forget to share the links because there are thousands and thousands of traders out there who needs this knowledge. At least so that nobody can scam them. If they get the right knowledge, they'll be able to make the right decisions when they decide to, to learn to do this stuff. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody, and see all of you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.